wndrsoul.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Lucas, and welcome to another episode of Wonder Talk. This episode is long overdue. I have not released anything for Wonder Talk since rebooting it back in the summer. I think our last episode was like in June or July, probably July, when we sat down to talk about Fantastic Four. And life has just been incredibly busy, and I've been back into school. And amongst other things, I just haven't had the motivation or taken the time to really sit down and record again. So I apologize for that. I think I really was hoping to map out kind of like how I wanted to take time and make time for the podcast and any other content that I'm thinking about doing here with Wonder Talk and the Wonder Soul YouTube channel. But here we are. So I am going to just chill with you guys for a little bit, talk to you guys about some football, some video games, and a couple other things that are going on in my world as we're recording here on a Sunday afternoon. My football team is not playing until prime time. They will be playing on Sunday Night Football. For those who do not know, my favorite team is the New England Patriots, and they will be playing the Buffalo Bills on NBC tonight, which is kind of rare for the Patriots as of late. They are not the best team in the last handful of years, but here we are. We are rebuilding, new coach, some new players, and some new hopes and expectations. So hopefully we can pull out the win. I am very excited about our quarterback, Drake May. So I'm looking forward to that. But as of today, it's been mostly just keep an eye on certain games for fantasy football, which has been really disappointing this year for me. Just different injuries, which in the past I've been lucky enough to avoid for the most part. There's nothing quite like drafting a player that you're really hoping is going to carry your team, and then they go out because of an injury. And some of those injuries are short term. Most of them end up being some long term disruptions, and that's always unfortunate. But I think in both, I'm in only 2 leagues, and that's a rule that I've made for myself. I don't do any more than 2. I have one that's like my friends and family, and then I'm in another league that's my friends' family league. So I can manage 2 leagues, and that's just about it. That gives me a 50-50 chance of being happy on the weekends when it comes to fantasy. It also gives me an opportunity to approach each league differently, with different drafting different players. Usually leads to some different outcomes. So sometimes certain players are not available in one league, but they are in the other, and it gives me the opportunity to just kind of check that out. But currently, that's not really working out for me. I'm currently 1-3 in both leagues. As I record now, it's week 5 in the NFL, and so really looking for some wins. The bye weeks have started, so hopefully that will open up some opportunities for me to win, to sneak some wins in there. I think currently I'm doing okay. It's just kind of crazy, these projections and all this research and all these things that people talk about all week really doesn't matter because you just never know what's going to happen. This is I think one of Nick Saban's famous quotes, and I'm sure others have said it as well, is this is why we play the game, right? And in the NFL more than anywhere, I think even more than college. Some might disagree with me, but it feels like it's more even playing field half the time, and so there's more of a case of like any given Sunday, right? Like a team that has not done really well can turn around and win, and you just never know. But like in one of my leagues, I have Drake May, I have Kyron Williams, running back from the Rams. I have Quentin Johnston from the Chargers. and some other players that are doing okay. The Baltimore Ravens are just awful right now. They're awful. Like Lamar Jackson got hurt, so he's not playing right now. Their quarterback, that kind of like takes everyone else out of it. Mark Andrews, their tight end's not doing much. In another league, I have Derrick Henry, and he has not lived up to any expectations. Now, I love Derrick Henry. I have always supported him. You know, obviously, I'm an Alabama fan, so this goes all the way back to him playing at Bama back in college. But I've always supported him. Never really have had him in fantasy. And in other years, he's done really, really good. So it's so disappointing. But what happens is when your team is not winning the football game, you have to throw the ball. And Derrick Henry has never been that kind of running back that you're going to throw the ball to. He can catch a ball every now and then, but they have like another running back. The one that I actually put in, who's only got me 1.7 points right now, is Justice Hill, who's done pretty well in other games because, you know, when they have to throw, when they are behind, you know, he becomes an option out there. It's always nice to have a running back that is in the passing game and in the running game. But I have like Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, the Lions defense and special teams, Matt Prater, the kicker for Buffalo. So, here and there. And then like my bench, I have like this week, Josh Jacobs, he's on a bye week, Green Bay running back. My first pick was CeeDee Lamb, and that's been disappointing. He's out. He's expected to return, it says here on the app, October 12th. So maybe next week, we'll see. I also have Terry McLaurin. He's also expected to return next week. So, maybe some of these injuries they won't be too bad and take all of my star power out of my league, but we'll see. You just never know, man. That's the fun part of fantasy. I'd rather do fantasy than like sports betting. I dipped and dabbled in that last year. It's not as fun when you have money on the line like that. Like both of the fantasy leagues that I'm in, we pay an entry fee. I think like one's $50 and the other one's like $25. And it's like basically, I think in ours it's either going to be winner take all, or first gets most, second gets some. But yeah, it's just it's so much fun. It also just increases the watchability for a lot of games that are not your team. And I don't, being in the southeast of the United States, I don't get a chance to really see the Patriots play. Unfortunately, that's why like tonight, a primetime game is so important to me. Because we played, or we didn't play, we paid for Red Zone, NFL Red Zone, and I actually ended up canceling because I just wasn't seeing the Patriots on there a lot. And even though it's so fun because it's like, ADHD proof for like football watching, no commercials. They have a little bit of ads now, but they're just constantly going from game to game. But they obviously show certain teams more than others, and that's frustrating. So for $10.99 a month, I'm good. I'll just take what I can get. I would never pay for Sunday ticket. I did that 1 year, and it's just too expensive. Like if the NFL were to let people buy access to watch individual teams, they would make so much more money. They would make so much more money because I would pay. But what they would lose out on is people wouldn't want to watch their local broadcasts, I guess, or I don't know. I've always been interested with what their hesitation is with not allowing fans to purchase the rights to watch their favorite teams throughout the season. Because, you can technically do that with Sunday ticket, but, that's I don't need to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars per year, and then sometimes you find yourself a little footballed out. And, yeah, which, if you're a fan of college football and NFL, even now at week 5, week 6, you're kind of finding yourself going like, okay, like I want to just pay attention to the, the ones that I really want to sit down and watch and devote, all my attention and time. A single game can last 3 to 4 hours. I check fantasy football. We have football on pretty much all weekend in this house. So, no complaints. But yeah, so fantasy, that's one team. Let me tell you guys about the other team. That team was called the Bearded Wonders. Okay, these are not A+ names or anything to brag about, but for the Looney Lobsters, I got Justin Herbert, who's doing really well. This is the league that I have Derrick Henry, which is, but it's almost like you never know. He might just blow up. I got Ashton Genty, rookie, running back for the Raiders. He's starting to pick it up, which is good. I got Stephon Diggs for the Patriots. Hopefully he's starting to get into his zone. Hopefully he shows out tonight against Buffalo. I also have Quentin Johnson in this league too. It's just how it worked. Let's see, like Travis Etienne Jr. These are some of my regulars. Let's see, Will Lutz. He's the kicker for Denver. I drafted Travis Hunter, and God, he hasn't done anything for real. He has not done anything for real. I also drafted George Kittle, and he got hurt week 1, so he's on IR. His potential return is in the next couple of weeks. We'll see how that goes. Mac Jones, shout out to Mac Jones. I know the Patriots did you dirty, man. I'm sorry. I was so excited when the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, but it is what it is. Let's see, and then I got DK Metcalf, who's doing his thing over there in Pittsburgh. Devontae Smith, who it's like a hit or miss, man. Like I don't know what the passing game over there in Philadelphia is like. So I put him out. He doesn't do anything. I take him off. Like today, he's on the bench. Like literally, I'm looking at the game log. He had 4.6, 9.3. Then he had a 20-point blowout. I put him in. He only has 4.9. I take him out. Now he has 16.3. It's like, really, man? Just consistency. That's the best thing that you can find in fantasy. If you can find those players, they're going to consistently do something. That's what it comes down to. It's not that they have to have all-star games every week. They just have to consistently be dependable, and you can rely on them to put points, even if it's just somewhere around what they're projected. If they go above, cool. If they don't quite get there, but they still do something, great. But when I have a game like today, where let me go back to my other team, the Bearded Wonders, putting Justice Hill out there and only having not even 2 points, that sucks, because I have Rico Dowdle from the Panthers that I picked up, and guess what? He's got 28 points, guys. I should be able to win this game regardless. Shout out to J-Rat, but we'll see. You just never know. And that sucks that, you got all those points on the bench, man. That's always going to hurt. But, hey, that's also security for the future. I like to stash players. I am really bad about overusing free agency. And this year in the league that I have with my family and friends, that includes like my mother and my wife and, friends that we're doing the FAB this year, which is like free agency acquisition bidding, which is pretty fun and interesting. And I think it encourages people to trade and be more cautious about, waiver wires and stuff. So like, look, if you guys are listening to this and you don't know anything about fantasy football, I am so sorry. This is just not going to be the episode for you. I am going to talk about other things, but I just wanted to geek out about fantasy football. But yeah, we're trying Fab for the first time. I've been hearing a lot about it and wanted to try it this year, and it's pretty cool. Like you get $100. It's different for every league, but for us, you have $100. That's for the whole season. And so if I wanted a player that's just, we've been talking about Derrick Henry so much. Let's just say for some crazy reason, free agency had Derrick Henry in it, and I wanted to get that player. Well, I could make a bid. I can make $100 bid. I can make a $0 bid. The only way I get that player, though, if I place a $0 bid, is if somebody else doesn't claim him, but also if like someone puts even $1, they get him. There's tiebreakers or things like that, but you kind of like you're bidding on the players, you know, and you have a certain budget, so you can't go crazy with it, or you can. And like I said, you can still pick up players for nothing, but the guarantee that you get them is loss. So there's security with placing smart bets. So that's fun. We're also doing half PPR this year in that league too, because I felt like, man, some of these scores get a little crazy with full-on PPR. You're telling me you get, I think even if you get negative yards, right? Somebody throws a pass to one of your players, and you're in a full PPR league, which is points per reception. So even if you get nothing, you get a point. That's crazy to me now. So the half PPR, you get half a point. So you still get credit. It's still important to have those players that are getting high targets and stuff like that. But, you know, anyways, fantasy football. I love it, dude. I've been doing it for years now. I think I started before I went into the military. So, like, I've been doing it for over 10 years. I think I took 1 year off, 1 or 2, somewhere in there. But for the most part, I've been actively engaged with fantasy, and it's been fun to get my wife into it, and my mother and some and other friends, and that's a cool way for us to stay connected and stay in touch, stay engaged. And like I said, it adds so much value to some of these games that you would, you know, maybe not even give two shits about, but now, you know, you got a player or two in there, or the person you're playing in a matchup has a player or two in there, so it can do a lot for you. But yeah, football, love it. I love this time of year. We're in October. Love this time of year. Starting to watch some spooky movies. The temperatures are starting to drop a little bit, you know. And I kicked off this month in a really cool way. Now, this month is my birthday month. So October, I'm biased regardless. But this week, I kicked off October by getting a Nintendo Switch 2. Now, let me go into detail. Okay, it wasn't simple. The Switch 2 came out in June or July of this summer, I think, and there was you had two options. You can get the console, just the console, for $450, right? $449, or you could get the bundle with Mario Kart World for $499, so $500. The thing that they get you with is that for some crazy reason, Nintendo said, man, people love that Mario Kart, right? So we're going to charge $79.99, which is, that pissed a lot of people off. The prices in general were really sketchy for people. But then, as you know, we have all these things going on with tariffs and the economy. Man, it has been crazy. Gaming is going through a lot. Whether that's just the landscape in general is changing, but it is not as accessible financially for most people as it once was, including myself. And that's where I've also that came into play with what I'm about to explain to you. So I didn't just go out and drop $500 on a Switch 2. I'm in no place to do that. I think most people are not in that place. It's really interesting when I go to a Walmart, a Target, a GameStop. They usually have a lot of Switch 2s in stock, which is surprising when you think of the experience that the Xbox and PlayStation had. But that was, you know, a unique time and space, both releasing in the middle of the pandemic. Back in 2020. Yeah, just was a hard time. Then you had scalpers. There's a lot going on. But the Switch 2 has been an incredible success for Nintendo, right? Like, they've done really well. So the fact that they've done really well, sold a lot, and still have the stock to back up, you know, once the holidays start kicking off and people start shopping, that's going to be the hottest item out there. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be huge. But what happens for me is that I was like, you know what? I have a Nintendo Switch. I have enjoyed it. I've gotten a lot of use out of it. My kids will get a lot of use out of it and I was like, for the longevity that the Switch was available and out, which was about 7 years, I'm like, man, this is a good investment, but we'll see. At the time, I had an Xbox Series X. I've enjoyed my Series X. I got to experience a lot of cool games on there via Game Pass and just like, anything that's come out this generation of consoles. So, I had a good time with my Xbox. I've been a big supporter of Xbox this generation. And that's coming from somebody who owned a PlayStation 4 and did not go into getting a PlayStation 5. Like, I still have my PS4. I still have turned it on recently. It's good for Blu-ray, DVD player. And then I still have some games on there that are exclusive that still run pretty well, whether it's Spider-Man or Ghost of Tsushima and different titles like that. Like I won't get rid of it. Like there's no point. But I got an Xbox and I've enjoyed it. But then this year's been really wild for Xbox. I have these notes here because I want to make sure that I get some of this right. So we're going to talk about the consoles, right? So back in May, Microsoft raised the prices of the Xbox consoles, right? Now, for those who are listening, don't really know about, Xbox or video games, I'll do my best to explain. So Xbox has two versions of their console. They have the S, which is a more affordable introductory version of the console. It can play a lot of the games, but it's not as powerful, right? I hate that. I don't know why we even do that anymore. Like even phones do that, where you have like a iPhone Pro Max and then you get an iPhone. Like, why don't you just pack it up? Just get one. We don't need options like that. Just like have one that's like does it all. Anyways, sidebar. So there's the S and there's the X. The X was $499, $500, right, to get this console back in 2020. But now 5 years later, and here's the thing. Historically, consoles, the longer they're available, the longer in their life cycle, they usually drop in price. Well, Xbox Series X went from $499 to $599, so up $100, right? And accessories, games, controller prices, all that increased too. The Series S went from $299 to $379, right? Okay, so then fast forward to October. On the 3rd of October. So from May to October, there's been 2 price increases. Okay, so the Series X with the disc, right, that I got for $499 is now $649. The Series S is now $399. I think or $379 to $399. The Series S, and this is where it gets a little so annoying because there's so many versions. There's different memory. Anyways, but we'll keep with it. Series S, 512 gigabytes, $399 now. Okay, from $379 to $399. The Series S 1 terabyte went from $429 to $449. The Series X digital, so the one that doesn't have a disk drive, went from $549 to $599. $600, right? Yeah, I don't know. And then the special 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition Series X, $799, $800. That's insane, dude. And Microsoft, who owns Xbox, will tell you it's macroeconomic changes. It's the rising components and tariff costs, and they suggest that maybe it's profit motives, and they bought Activision and Blizzard, and now like all these things are happening and they're having to pay for all this stuff. It just was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I got my best friend to buy an Xbox. That person doesn't get to really enjoy it as much. They're on the road a lot. Other than that, I don't really have anybody else in that ecosystem, that space. A lot of other people I know either play on PC or they have a PlayStation 5. And I was hoping to like make new friends on Xbox. It never happened, you know? So I wasn't really playing with anybody. But now I'm looking at it like, okay, nobody else is going to buy an Xbox. Nobody's going to pick an Xbox over these other consoles, or especially in these times, is going to have the money to afford an Xbox. So they basically just kept their whole system line from other new players being introduced to those games and those titles. And I'm just like, okay, you weren't winning, you weren't doing great, right? There were some strides of improvement, but you were not still number one. You weren't the top dog. You were really in no position to do what you did. Now, hey, that's not to say that, like I said, Nintendo and Sony PlayStation have also messed with their prices here. Okay, this is a video game. This is a gaming discussion. But my focus is on my experience, which was via Xbox, right? So that was very disappointing, you know, and I've defended Xbox with different things. It was getting hard. But then this week happens. And what happens this week? Well, for those that aren't familiar, they have this service called Game Pass. It's their biggest selling point. And you can get this service on PC and I think other devices. But let's just say you get an Xbox. They don't have Xbox Live anymore. It's like all through Game Pass. But they have Xbox Game Pass, which you get a bunch of games for a monthly subscription. It's almost like the Netflix of gaming. You get to experience all these new games day one when they release. You don't have to spend $60-$70 on new titles all the time. You get a lot of access to a lot of titles. So it's not every new game that comes out. It's specific titles to specific developers and publishers, right? Specifically Xbox, right? Well, this week, they decided that was also going to go up in price. Leading up to this, on my own, I realized I'm not getting the most out of this. And I had been looking at my finances, and I was looking at where I could budget, where I could consolidate. And gaming was something that I was really thinking. And a lot of subscription services, as they continuously go up in price and they continuously don't offer more, I decided to cancel a lot of subscription services. I dropped down to Netflix ad tier. Like I'm telling you, just like, look, where do I really get value? And I'm so tired of them raising prices and just taking more money from me every month without me getting the most out of it, right? So Game Pass Ultimate is what I had since I got an Xbox, but I dropped that to their lowest plan, which was like $9.99. Now, this week, they announced that they were going to do some price changes and they were going to do some other things with it, but they didn't change the prices of the $9.99 and the $14.99 plan. But Game Pass Ultimate, the one that has like the most weight to it, that has the day one exclusives, that's going to go from $20 a month to now $30 a month. And then they're like trying to add things in like, oh, well, you get this Fortnite crew, which is like if you play Fortnite, you get all these benefits, you get V-Bucks, it's all this stuff. Oh, and you also get there was something else that they added. Oh, like Ubisoft classics. So access to all these old Ubisoft games. Well, like, let's be honest, Ubisoft is not like really like champion these days, like, to be honest. And they were like, oh, improved cloud streaming and just all this stuff that nobody was asking for. But they were leading with like, oh, we've been listening to your guys' feedback. And to justify raising the prices of our service, we offer you these things for that nobody really wanted. Man, like if you look at the timeline, so you got May, you got console increases. They do it again here in October. They do it again in October. Then in the same month, in the same, like within the same like time, probably a week or so, they do the Game Pass thing. I mean, this is a trend at this point, man. Like you're looking at it and going, this is a trend. Things are just going to get more expensive. And to be honest, like there's a part of me that thinks like, man, if you didn't buy a Switch too soon, like those might go up in price. Like, it's almost like you're being punished for not getting things day one for consoles, when most people would wait until they dropped in price. You know, you wait, they're less expensive, they have a bigger library now, more value. There you go. But man, were people pissed, because on top of this, they've been touting this handheld that they've been working with Asus. It was going to be called the Asus ROG Ally X, or whatever, Xbox Ally, whatever, one of those, something like that, right? And it was like technically an Xbox handheld, right? And you could play other games. You could actually play games from Steam and stuff like that. But the weirdest thing is that it was coming out on October 16th, and it wasn't until I think last week did we know the price. Not last week, but 2 weeks ago. And pre-orders weren't even available. And we all know why. Like, there's a whole thing about the tariffs. I get that. But, like, that's very strange. Like, they did not let anybody know how much it was going to be and when they could pre-order it until the very last minute. The console, the handheld, like I told you, I hate how they're doing this, but you have like a cheaper option and you have like a premium option. So you got the one that's meh, okay, and then you got the one that's like the one that they're letting all the reviewers check out, and the one that's out there on the floor when they're at these conventions and people get to try it out, because that's the one they want to sell. Well, guess how much that is? That handheld is $999, so $1,000. Dude, the Steam Deck just went on sale today, or this week. They're doing a Steam sale. And you can get a Steam Deck, the LCD version, not the OLED, the LCD version for like $320. It's been out for about 3 years now, but still, you can still probably play most, if not all, the games you want on that still. Compare that to the Switch 2, $450, $500. Like, I get it. Like, everyone wants to get into the handheld space. Trust me, I understand. As a father, as someone who's busy and has online schooling and kids and dogs and a wife and a mother to help take care of, and all these different things going on in their life, it is hard to just sit down in a specific space and game and enjoy those. Like, the ability to pick the Switch up and go to the couch while the kids watch Bluey so that I can play Zelda for just 15 minutes or whatever until somebody needs something, and I can just put it down and stop what I'm doing. That fits my lifestyle better now. It's not so much about 4K and, having the greatest graphics, or having that online competitive shooter that I only get to play for about a month until like everybody gets too good and I get frustrated and then I don't play anymore. Those games are better with friends. I don't have a gaming group. It's just not, it's not happening. So I get that the appeal of handhelds. Trust me, I just told you I got a Switch 2. But here's like $1,000? Dude, go get yourself a gaming PC. Go build you a PC. Go get you an Xbox and a PlayStation 5. Get you a PlayStation 5 and a Switch. I mean, there's just so many different ways you could dice that up instead of getting a $1,000 Xbox handheld that has Game Pass that's now $30 a month. Dude, they shot themselves in the foot, man. Like, I don't know who's doing that, who's making those decisions there. Is this an Xbox, a Microsoft, both? Somebody who's doing this? Can they not read the room? Can they not see the damage that they're doing? And they were in no place. If anything, they actually had a lot of momentum. This hasn't been a terrible year. Like, they're releasing games. Like, that whole argument of like, Xbox doesn't have any games. There's no games on Xbox. You can't really say that anymore. Did they have to spend a lot of money? Yeah. They own Call of Duty now. That's like the best selling game no matter what every year. Love it or hate it, that's just how it is. There is such a thing as casual gamers, and those people are a big boost to the market. It's not the people buying Final Fantasy Tactics, day one. It's the people buying Call of Duty Black Ops 7, 6, whatever. Sorry. But you know what else they did, and they admitted to it, is that when they put the last Call of Duty on Game Pass, day one, they shot themselves in the foot. Guess what platform people bought Call of Duty most on? PlayStation. I think it was like 82% of the sales went to PlayStation. Why? Because nobody was going to spend full price on Call of Duty Black Ops if you could just give them $20 and play Game Pass, so you can play Black Ops and then you can play hundreds of other games. Why would you do that? Now, here's the other thing about it, though. You know, Game Pass, oh, it's great, man. I have so much access to all these games. But it's kind of like Spotify. It's like Netflix. Like all these things. You don't own shit. They can pull, and that does happen. Game Pass, there's games that come, there's games that go. So, you know, not Call of Duty, that's going to be there. You know, their front runners will stay. But you don't own things. So when you remove Game Pass, like, you don't have anything on your console. You didn't spend any money, but you've been given, like, they would say, because they had no annual subscription for Game Pass Ultimate, but it would cost you $360 a year to have Game Pass Ultimate. So yeah, you got to play some of these games, but let's say you don't have that much time, and let's say like you don't even really spend even that on certain games. There's just like a handful, you know. Dude, $360 a year? Huh? Like, so dude, I say all this, and this is what's going on with Xbox. They've been catching so much flack. And that was it. I just saw the trend. I saw like, dude, this is what's happening. Yeah, am I going to miss out on certain things? Absolutely. And that sucks. I love college football 26 and 25, like NCAA games. They're not on PC. They're not on Switch. Could that change? Probably, I guess. Like, I don't know why they're not available on PC. But that means if I don't have an Xbox or a PlayStation, I can't play that game. But I'm also in a point in my life where I'm just like, I guess I just can't watch that show. I guess I just won't watch that movie. I guess I just won't play that game. I can't do it all. I can't afford to do it all. And that FOMO and that pressure from social media and other content creators that are telling you like, oh, you know, you got to get this game. You got to play this. It's 10 out of 10. Like, dude, it's too hard to keep up. Like, realistically, I was already in a headspace where I was like, I need to consolidate and I need to reinvest in what I think will be added value to not just me, but my wife plays a lot of games on the Switch. She plays like Stardew Valley and so many other games we play together. And one of my kids are going to play. Like, I grew up with Nintendo systems. I stuck out and had the GameCube. I mean, like I can see where, you know, you don't get to play Grand Theft Auto 6 on the Switch 2, but man, dude, you still have a really good time. And the games you get to play, and they're worth it. So I ended up packing up my Xbox that day, and I was like, that's all I needed now. And I traded in my Xbox to GameStop. I traded in some controllers and some stuff, and yeah, ended up only having to drop $100 to get a Switch 2. And I have no regrets. I have absolutely loved my experience with the Switch 2 this week. I have been blown away in for a lot of reasons, and I'm just so happy that I made that choice. Is it disappointing? Like, I told myself, because unfortunately, like, I traded it. I was just one of those kids that when something new came out, I wanted the new thing. So I ended up trading that old thing in, and now I wish I still had that old thing. Well, but the things that we have these days, they're different. Like, even when I get on my PlayStation 4, like, it's such an online thing, and backwards compatibility and stuff just is so different now. You know, funny thing with the Switch 2 was that all my games from my Switch I could play on there. They transferred over. My controllers worked with it. Like, everything worked with it. So I could buy the console and not even have to buy a game. and not be worried that I didn't have anything to play. I still have my whole library. And guess what? Tears of the Kingdom, the Legend of Zelda game, is 10 times better on the Switch 2. Like, games are better on that console. Like, so, you know, it's different nowadays. It's just different. And I was seeing like, man, I could get a return on my investment from Xbox. And like, dude, places like Costco, they're not going to sell Xboxes anymore. Now, I don't think that really like hurts them, but like, that's just a sign of things of like, man, these are getting too expensive. We're not going to be able to get these off our shelves. And we were already having a hard time. Okay. To be fair. So I made that decision. And, you know, I still support Xbox. I still hope the best for those who play those games and have stuck out with them. You know, I hate that they're being bled out by the greed of these companies that just want profits over people and players now. And that's unfortunate. That's so many other things. That's a conversation that goes beyond gaming. But here we are. And, you know, in where I am in my life, I had to make a choice. And I don't need all the consoles. I don't need a PS5 and an Xbox and a Switch and a this and I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I can't give it the attention. It's too much money to do. And that's just who I am as a person. Other people, like, gaming is life, and they need those things. And if it makes them happy, then by all means, do it. But, you know, I hope that Xbox, you know, sees what's going on. You know, I'm sure they're going to see the numbers. That's the only way that these companies ever see anything is numbers and graphs and data. So hopefully they get enough data from this month to see like, oh, we fucked up. And there was rumors that they actually today denied that they're like, oh, Xbox isn't going to make any more consoles. They're just going to go straight up into publisher mode. They're going to be like a Sega. You know, they're like, we're out. And that's not good, guys. Whether you like them or not, Sony needs that competition. Competition is really good for any market, for any industry. And when you don't have that, that's where problems start to occur, because then they can do whatever they want. You need Samsung and Apple. You know, you need McDonald's and Burger King. Like that, they need each other. You might have a preference, and that's okay. You're entitled to that. But we should never want to snuff the other one out, because then when that one that's, you know, left standing has all control, they can charge whatever they want. What are you going to do? What are you going to play? You're going to have to pay to play. And it's not like we aren't already. So that's my little soapbox. I'm enjoying my Switch 2. I highly encourage anybody who has enjoyed the Switch that have been teeter-tottering on, do I want to get it? Look, the holidays are coming up. I hope that you find the funds to do it. I know these things are not truly affordable in the times that we live in for everyone. And whenever you can get it, I hope you enjoy it. I was very lucky, but you know, I also had to sacrifice my Xbox, and that sucks. You know, I had a good library on there. I didn't rely completely on Game Pass, you know, and that sucks, you know. But you know, if I need to play certain games, most of them are available on Steam, you know, and I have a really genuine, good library on the Switch, and you know, we'll go from there. So yeah, so that's my spiel this episode. I just wanted to sit down and record with you guys on a Sunday afternoon and put something out there. Hopefully I can do this more often. You know, debating on how I want to approach things as far as because even with the content, you know, consolidating, like, again, I don't have the time to really do what I used to do, and yeah, I still want to put these out there, but I want them to go on YouTube as well. You know, maybe I'll get into some short form content, you know, just to be more active. But for right now, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this spiel And maybe you'll hear from me soon. So regardless of what I talked about today, whether it was fantasy football and stuff like that, or the Switch 2 and Xbox and gaming in general, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So whether it's here on Spotify or social media, reach out, let me know. There's ways to connect with me in the descriptions of every episode. So let me know what your thoughts are, because I would love for this to not just be me talking to you, but you talking to me, a conversation, a back and forth. So please let me know your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree, or have any of your experiences that are relatable to this, maybe. Let me know. But thank you guys for taking time to enjoy this episode. I hope you did. And I will talk to you next time. Peace.
Wonder Soul.
Wonder Soul.